In Moscow, Russia, a man spent 14 years walking through the same park. Every time he visited, he brought a chessboard with him. His goal was to fill every single square on that chessboard, 64 squares in total. Each square represented a person he had taken a life from. He came very close to completing it. This is the true story of Alexander Pichushkin, the man known as the chessboard killer. Alexander Yuryevich Pichushkin was born on April 9, 1974, in Moscow. As a young child, he was described as friendly and sociable, but at age 8, he suffered a serious head injury when he fell from a swing. The swing hit the back of his head with tremendous force. His personality changed completely after this. He became withdrawn, aggressive, unstable. Classmates at school began to bully him mercilessly because of his changed behavior. His grandfather, Mikhail, was the only person who showed him kindness and love. He taught young Alexander to play chess. Chess became Alexander's only comfort. When Alexander was a teenager, his beloved grandfather, Mikhail, died. This loss completely destroyed him. The one person who had loved him and understood him was gone. Alexander began drinking heavily. He became increasingly isolated. He spent more and more time alone in Bitsa Park, a large park in Moscow, where he and his grandfather had often walked together. Investigators would later say that his grandfather's death was the moment everything began to change inside Alexander Pichushkin. In 1992, Alexander Pichushkin was 18 years old. He lured a classmate named Mikhail Odichuk to Bitsa Park. He pushed him into an open sewer well. Mikhail survived the fall, barely. Pichushkin walked away. For the next 9 years, he did nothing. He worked at a local supermarket. He lived quietly with his mother. He played chess in the park. But something was building inside him. Something dark and patient. In 2001, it finally broke free. From 2001 onward, Pichushkin developed a careful and consistent method. He would approach homeless men and elderly people in Bitsa Park. He would offer them vodka. He would sit with them on a bench and talk for hours. He seemed kind. He seemed friendly. He seemed like a lonely man looking for company. When his victims were relaxed and off guard, he would attack them from behind. He would then push their bodies into open sewer wells in the park to hide the evidence. For years, Moscow police did not connect the disappearances. Pichushkin kept a chessboard at home. After each person he harmed in the park, he would place a coin or a date on one of the 64 squares. He told investigators later that he wanted to fill every single square. 64 was his goal. He told police, "A life without taking lives is like a body without food." He genuinely believed what he was doing gave his life meaning and purpose. The chessboard was his trophy, his record, his achievement. For years, Moscow police were baffled by the disappearances around Bitsa Park. Bodies were occasionally discovered in the park's sewer wells, but the victims were mostly homeless people whose disappearances were not immediately noticed or reported. Police could not establish a clear pattern. The attacks were spread over years. The victims had no obvious connection to each other. Pichushkin had been extraordinarily careful in choosing people who would not be missed. As years passed without being caught, Pichushkin became increasingly bold. He began targeting people who were not homeless, people with families, people who would be reported missing. In 2006, he made a fatal mistake. He invited a female co-worker from the supermarket where he worked, a woman named Marina Moskalyova, to come with him to Bitsa Park. He told her they were going to visit the grave of his dog. Marina told her son where she was going before she left. She even wrote Pichushkin's name on a note at home. She never returned. When Marina Moskalyova did not return home, her son contacted police immediately. He showed them the note his mother had left, with Pichushkin's name on it. Police reviewed CCTV footage from around Bitsa Park. They saw Marina and Pichushkin entering the park together. Only Pichushkin left. Police arrested Alexander Pichushkin on June 16, 2006. He was 32 years old. When they searched his home, they found the chessboard, with 62 squares already marked. When police questioned Pichushkin, he did not deny anything. He confessed immediately and completely. He told investigators every detail of every attack in Bitsa Park. He led police to bodies that had never been found. He showed them the sewer wells. He described his method in calm detail. He showed no remorse whatsoever. He told investigators, "I'm not sorry for anything I did. Each one was a moment of happiness for me." Police were horrified by his complete calm. The trial of Alexander Pichushkin began in September 2007. He was charged with 49 counts. During the trial, he sat in a glass cage in the courtroom for his own protection. He showed no emotion throughout. He listened to testimony after testimony with complete indifference. At one point, he held up a sign that read, "I am not guilty of 49 counts. I am guilty of 63. He was actually arguing that the prosecution had undercounted his crimes. The courtroom fell silent. On October 29, 2007, Alexander Pichushkin was found guilty of 49 counts. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Under Russian law at the time, the first 15 years of his sentence were to be served in complete isolation. As he was led from the courtroom, he smiled at the cameras. He waved to journalists. He seemed almost proud. Russian media immediately compared Pichushkin to Andrei Chikatilo, Russia's most notorious serial offender, who had been executed in 1994. Chikatilo had 52 confirmed victims. Pichushkin claimed 63. If his claim was true, he had surpassed Chikatilo. Pichushkin himself acknowledged this comparison. He said he was aware of Chikatilo and that he had wanted to go further. The competition between two real-life monsters in the same country deeply disturbed Russian society. Bitsa Park in Moscow still exists today. Families walk through it on weekends. Children play there. People jog along its pathways. Most of them have no idea what happened in those trees over 14 long years. The sewer wells where victims were found have been sealed, but the park remains. The benches remain. The same trees that stood while Pichushkin walked these paths still stand today. Alexander Pichushkin remains in prison in Russia today. He has never expressed any regret. In prison interviews, he has said that his only regret is that he did not reach 64. He wanted to fill every square on the chessboard. He came within 2 squares of his goal. The 2 remaining empty squares on his chessboard represent the 2 people his capture prevented him from reaching. He considers this his only failure, not the lives he took, not the families he destroyed, just 2 empty squares on a chessboard. Some people walk among us, hiding their darkest secrets. Subscribe to The Hidden Truth for more real stories that will leave you speechless. New story every week. The truth is always hidden. We find it.